Nicole in Johannesburg with Kate Emerson. Hi, Kate.
Hi, I'm in this lovely dappled sunlight. It's beautiful out here.
Good to be here with you. Now, I've known you for a couple of years now, and I've been very inspired by you. You're very passionate and bright women. You love helping, on the whole, other women transform their lives. So I want to ask you, so that people watching this can really get to themselves, who's your ideal client? Because I think your ideal client is almost somebody who might even be embarrassed because of their life situation. So can you explain who you love to help?
Sure, I think it's all combined in the sense of helping someone create space in their life so that they can really move forward and gain an energetic, vital life in all spheres and become passionate and purposeful. But in order to do that, they need to let go of a bunch of stuff that might be holding them back. So for people out there, they might recognize themselves maybe in one of three sort of categories, because letting go for me involves the physical, it involves physiological, so meaning our bodies, vital energy, and also the emotional, or the vibrational touch, the stuff that we can't see that really hooks us and drags us down. So for someone watching, it might be that they think about their home or their office or their car, or that their physical life is in a mess. They have got lots of clutter. They might even be so far down the line as hoarding things. It could be almost a pathological kind of sense. But literally, they don't know where things are. They don't know how to find things. Nothing is where it should be. It takes them hours to look for stuff. So really just that mess.
The physical environment is a mess.
Yeah, and almost to the point where they would be embarrassed maybe if somebody just knocked on the door and popped in, spontaneously for tea. They'd be like, get out of my space. Or just that sense of complete disorder in their lives. So like every morning, for example, opening a cupboard and everything's disheveled and in a mess and nothing's coordinated, so they don't even know how to start, say, choosing their clothes for a day at work. So it's that sense of complete disorder and chaos, which is very draining, but it's physical, so you can see it. So every time you walk into your bedroom at the end of the day, you walk into a mess. It's not a pleasing way to actually come home. And it's just, so it's always that sense of disappointment in self, anger, not good enough, I can't ever keep things in order, and that embarrassment of home, and it really is just physical clutter. So that's one way that people might be able to recognize they need help. And the same would go for someone's office. So if filing, it's tangible pieces of paper, even filing in your computer, although you can't see all the files, it can be considered physical clutter. So it's about, do you have a sense of when you need a piece of paper, do you know exactly where it is? Because my definition of clutter is anything that no longer serves you. In other words, if you're keeping years and years of filing, yes, you need to keep 5 years in order to keep up to date with inland revenue or tax if you're in this country. But beyond that, you don't need all of that stuff. And people can get weighed down by paperwork and just lack of order in terms of how you retrieve information. So that's the physical sense. Then the body sense, the physiological, is just our energy. You say that I'm a vital woman. It really is about having freed up resources in your body, so that you feel energetic and inspired at that body level. You're not with your headaches, you're carrying some excess baggage around, some weight and cellulite, and literally having that inspired body. And it's not about being perfect body, it's about being healthy and energetic and having the vuma to do what it is that you need to do on a daily basis, because you can't show up in your life if you are lethargic and slothful and headaches and always getting sick. It doesn't. If you're wanting to live an inspired life, you need the energy to do that. That's the vehicle. Our body is the vehicle in its life, so it houses everything else that we do. And often people might have physical clutter in their homes, but correspondingly they could be holding on to clutter. And the moment you clear one, you're almost naturally inspired to clear the other, because they're so interlinked. So that's the sort of physiological stuff. And my love for that comes from my professional training as an aromatherapist. And then the third component where people might recognize themselves is the kind of harder stuff to recognize. We always live with the results in our life, but we don't always necessarily able to recognize
the emotional
clutter. The vibrational clutter. So that is the unfinished business. So, often we have things that we have promised or committed to doing, and we don't do them. They always sit there kind of weighing down on our shoulders, and there's nothing more inspiring and life-giving than actually going through those things and ticking them off the list. It's like keeping up with your own integrity and your promises, and to yourself, most importantly, but also to other people. So it's always about sort of living life with complete integrity. But it's also the emotional relationship stuff, the really hard stuff to navigate. So are you holding on to people in your life that really are no longer serving you, and you them? So maybe old friendships, old relationships, bosses, staff, and all of that stuff. And it's about who in my life is actually enhancing and working with me rather than against, and it's always a two-way.
Who energizes you rather than drains you.
Rather than depletes you, absolutely. And we often just hold on just out of a sense of obligation or fear of letting go, and we just don't know how to let go. So often I teach people how to let go of things that no longer serve us, and people, and sometimes it's places. You know, when someone leaves a home, for example, it's really important that you also take all your energy from that home with you. And, you know, people can have to move and then long for something that they had, whether it's a home or somebody that's passed on, or a place like a city that you've lived in. So it's always
the way they're living in the past.
Absolutely.
You help them live in the present
much more in the present. So you have to let go in order to live in the present. And when you're able to do that, then you can also create a compelling future. But now it's actually all that matters. So if you've got all this crap weighing you down, you're not present, which means you can't create a different future, because you only create your future from today.
So you really free women up to have a vital life.
Yeah,
That's
and
what it sounds like to me.
vital life and space. I think it's whether it's emotional or physical or body space, because then there's almost, when you've got a vacuum, new can come in. Whereas we tend to want to create the new. It's pretty much like, you know, women will relate to this. It's like putting face cream on without having washed your face. You know, you've got to clean your face first, then you can start putting on your products that are going to heal. Whereas you can't put like makeup on a dirty face. It just doesn't work.
So it strikes me that you're happy to go into situations that a lot of people would walk away from because they would find them too challenging. But also you're willing to walk into situations that perhaps women might be embarrassed or ashamed about in a way. So do you find that?
I absolutely find that. Now, I think that's one of the things that I help people see the funny side of what they do. You know, just about 2 weeks ago, I was in a woman's house. We'd be doing a shooting for a TV program. And I mean, I got her to the point where she was laughing about the fact that she had literally a wad that big of old movie tickets, you know, going to New Metro. And every time her and her husband had been to the movies, she'd get the ticket. Now, and that is almost like attaching oneself to the experiences of one life. Whereas the experience is within her. But it's almost like, now, because I have this movie ticket, it means that I exist, and it means that I have been doing something with my life. But yet they're just a symbol. And and she's a great scrapbooker. So what I suggested to her is, why not maybe take one or two of them that were particularly significant and scrapbook them, so really make them beautiful and vital and bring them into your life, as opposed to just having this wad this big stuffed in a cupboard. Because that's, you know, I believe that things, you have to love them, whether it's people or things. They have to serve you, and they have to add energy to your life, and you have to be using them. So in some way that can help you sort of create a definition. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
And I was just thinking also that, you know, anybody watching this might think, well, you know, I need to get my life a bit more together before I can get Kate in. But in a way,
that they don't need to do that at all.
You know, that you are not going to go in and shame or embarrass or anything like that, or judge. It's like, you know, you understand that, and you'll go in and join with them and really help them transform their lives. I think that's the bit that people need to get. But I think there's often that reluctance to call people into our mess. It's like, well, let me sort my mess out a bit, then I'll get Kate in. So invite you in anyway.
Yeah, and I make it so easy. It's like, you know, because the biggest thing with, I mean, maybe physical clutter is the easiest one to talk about, but the biggest thing is people get completely overwhelmed, and they know that when they start, it's going to get too big for them. And I don't care about the overwhelm. It's like, we go and we've got to shake it all up. It always gets worse before it gets better. But by the end of a session that we've defined, or a day, or, I mean, I've been into people's homes for 2 weeks, you know, depending on the extent of clutter. So if you're out there, you know, it might be 2 weeks, it doesn't matter. But it's about just, I can help people through that crisis point where they would give up. And that's why most people don't start, because it's too big to even think about starting.
So you're a friend and a companion, but you're also, in a good way, you're quite fierce. You don't let them get away with stuff.
Yeah, you can't. You know, you've got to, and there's always a point, if somebody's not ready, I can tell you can put something aside. You can't ever push someone over that edge, but I'm always there to challenge. But also I think I bring a delightful irreverence of really getting to the point where we always shriek with laughter when we're clearing clutter. Absolutely. Of recognizing the silliness of what we do in order to move forward. So not about the embarrassment, but I will always shriek with laughter and get people to find the funny side of what it is they've kept and why, you know, and in order to shift it and let it go.
Great. Well, I hope this has given you a good idea about what Kate does and what her brilliance is and what her energy is. So her contact details will be below this video, so if you think she can help you, get in touch with her. She'd love to talk to you.
Thanks,
Kate.
Thanks.
Cheers.